younger in this room, maybe you go on Indeed, but anyone that's ever had to look at a job description for a new position, hopefully you've read it over before you go in for the interview. It's better to know what they say you're going to do or what they think they need you to do. And then you go in, you ask them, okay, like what is required of this job that is not written on this piece of paper? What's something that I need to be aware of when I accept this position that you might have forgot to tell me? What does this job really entail? It's always fun. And I remember when I interviewed here, it's like, oh, we want someone, to lead by example, to be an evangelist, to be able to share the gospel in the community of which he is a part. And it's kind of fun. It's like, well, I just want to know real quick, what do you guys mean by that? Like John or Aunt Mary, or like, how would you share the gospel in the community of which you are a part? Oh, I don't know, but you'd need to. And we were able to talk about that, and it's fun. You look at a job like, oh, okay, what does this job actually entail? What did we forget to leave on the job description? And what's amazing is Acts 20. Goodness, I might have forgot to mention it, and that's just on me. But what a great job description that Paul gives for pastors. He's talking to the elders of the church in Ephesus on the island of Miletus. And he talks about what he tried to do, what he wants them to do, what pastors are to do, and what's amazing, not just pastors. I think it starts with us, but it does not end with us. And it also happened to be the passage that I was able to talk on when I was a senior in high school for our FCA meeting before what would have been one of the harder days of my time in public high school. Every year, we had a day. It was a whole day. We were supposed to wear t-shirts. Public, we had great assemblies called Unity Day. And what's not to love about unity? Who doesn't want to be one people, one voice, one mission? That's a good thing, right? Until what we are being unified in might not be good or condoned or something supported by a holy God and his holy word. And so Unity Day was a time, it was a space where students could truly vent, be open, honest, and share about whatever they might be feeling, thinking, who they might be attracted to, what they might believe in. And I remember freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, not a single Christian has gotten up to talk about what they think or what they believe or share their hearts or their feelings. At first I wondered why. Then when I tried, I learned why. I tried to kindly point out some hypocrisy about, we can't have unity and diversity if we don't let diverse opinions share, right? And so I had a wonderful opportunity to get up in front of my class, knowing that I was going to be the minority. I was not going to be the popular opinion that day, and to share the wonderful news of the gospel. And I had this passage that we read for our New Testament reading, Acts chapter 20, to talk about with those other young men and women in FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, about how we are not to shrink back. May when this day's over, may when our life is over, we could look back and be like, you know what? I was not ashamed of the gospel. I actually believed it. I believed it and I had conviction about it and I wanted to share it. I wanted people to know, with Dave, what you see is what you get. You're free to disagree with me, but know exactly what you are disagreeing with. And I had the opportunity, as scared as I was, because I wanted people to like me, to share what I knew would be offensive to their ears. That there is a holy God that we will all have to answer to one day. A holy God that is righteous and just and perfect, but one that is also loving and merciful and gracious, if we would just heed his words of wisdom. And it wasn't like I was in a trance or an out-of-body experience, but that was truly something that only the Lord could do in someone, that I would need his grace to do. I share this with you not to be like, look how awesome your pastor is. He's just so bold and brave. I'm sharing this because I think, like Nehemiah, when we look at Nehemiah chapter 6, he knows I'm just one guy. I'm human. And Lord, I don't know who's built for this. I'm not made for this kind of opposition. I'm not made for this kind of responsibility. You're asking too much of me. I'm scared. I'm stressed. I make mistakes. I don't think you got the right guy for the job. And I pray, like that moment, that day, senior year, Nehemiah here in chapter 6, and then countless other examples in the Bible, including Christ when he saw the cross set before him. He was able to take courage, have courage, and look opposition in the eye, knowing everything that was against him. And yet he was able to say those words, not my will, but thy will be done. And so as the church around the world, as the church in America, as the church at little old St. Paul's, how do we have courage? Being a worshiping community, advancing God's kingdom. All right, we want you to be an evangelist. We want you to share the good news in the community in which you are a part. How are you going to do that? As members of this church, as members and participants of this mission, how are you going to do it when you know full well those who oppose the Lord, those who do not agree with him, will despise this goal? They will do everything they can to stop you and its achievement from happening. Having courage on God's mission. Because quite frankly, and I do this too, I spent a lot of time praying that the Lord would raise them up to accomplish this purpose, hoping that he would not use me. Do not pray that the Lord would raise people up to accomplish this mission and hope it is not you. That is sad. Instead of praying for people to be raised up, Lord, raise me up to accomplish this mission. Give me courage. You can pray for them too. Lord, how am I going to be used? And so we have Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 14, and likely culprits. We have Sanballat and Tobiah again. Yay. When Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem the Arab and the rest of our enemies heard that I had built the wall and that there was no breach left in it, although up to that time I had not set up the doors and the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, come and let us meet together at Hakaphirim in the plain of Ono. But they intended to do me harm. And I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?" And they sent to me 4 times in this way, and I answered them in the same manner. In the same way, Sanballat, for the 5th time, sent his servant to me with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, "It is reported among the nations." And Geshem also says it, that you and the Jews intend to rebel. That is why you are building the wall. And according to these reports, you wish to become their king. And you have also set up prophets to proclaim concerning you in Jerusalem, "There is a king in Judah." And now the king will hear of these reports. So now come and let us take counsel together. Then I sent to him, saying, "No such things as you say have been done, for you are inventing them out of your own mind." For they all wanted to frighten us, thinking, "Their hands will drop from the work, and it will not be done." But now, O God, strengthen my hands. Now when I went into the house of Shemaiah the son of Delaiah, son of Mehetabel, who was confined to his home, he said, "Let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple. Let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. They are coming to kill you by night." But I said, "Should such a man as I run away? And what man such as I could go into the temple and live? I will not go in." And I understood and saw that God had not sent him, but he had pronounced the prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. For this purpose he was hired, that I should be afraid and act in this way and sin, so that they could give me a bad name in order to taunt me. Remember Tobiah and Sanballat, O my God, according to these things that they did, and also the prophetess Noadiah, and the rest of the prophets who wanted to make me afraid. This is the word of God, the people of God. Nehemiah is not just confronted with opposition, he doesn't just need to have courage, but on 3 separate occasions. One, he's being asked to meet with his opposers, his adversaries, on a plain outside of Jerusalem. Another time, he's given an open letter about all these false accusations. And then even a false prophet, a false priest saying, "Come, meet with me. We can go in the temple. They're trying to kill you." All of these things, as we learn in verse 14, was to make him afraid. We've talked about this a lot. Fear, being scared, fear of unknown, fear of what if, just the fear of man, what people might say or think of us, and we allow these fears to truly stop us in our tracks, make us slow down, if not pause altogether, and keep us from doing the work that the Lord has called us to do as his church. If we know this fallen world, if we know Satan, if he can do anything in his power, that we might be discouraged, scared, taken out of the race, he will do it. And he will stop at nothing less, nothing short. He hates God. He hates us. He does not want us to win or to succeed. What do we do when the Lord calls us to a task in which we know we have no strength or power to do on our own? Lord, the world says we can't do this. The world says we're not smart enough, strong enough, wise enough, and they're right. What are we to do? How are we to do it when we are all these things? Nehemiah knows his weaknesses, and so he prays. He finds courage because he prays. He prays. These first 4 verses, we learn that he is accomplishing God's work. We've been taking time looking through Nehemiah. He's building this wall that looked terrible. He's trying to fix gates that have been burned with fire. He has all this opposition, all of his own insecurities, and yet God is faithful. In verse 1, his enemies heard it, and he knows about it, that he had built the wall. He built the wall. He did it. It's almost done. He gives us a parenthetical statement, little parentheses. Okay, I'm pretty much done. I'm done. I got to do some gates, but we're done. The hard work, the hard work is over. But it's still not enough. They see that we built the wall. There's no breach left. And so we have a problem on our hands, apparently. And so the usual suspects, we have Sanballat again, we have Tobiah, we have Geshem again, and they want to meet with Nehemiah. And it doesn't say explicitly, we want to meet with you, to offer you. Who says that, right? Come out here where no one can find you or see you, and we just want to talk. The back alleyway. And so he understands, I don't really know the reason why you want to meet, but I know why you want to meet. Not to mention, why can't we just meet in Jerusalem? You want to meet me so bad, you come here. Home turf. You got such a problem with me, you come to me and talk about it. I'm not going to you. I don't know where Hakaphirim is. I'm just glad I can pronounce it. Hakaphirim. And it's and how you say oh no, the plain of oh no. I wouldn't go out there. But Nehemiah, he's wise. He is smart. He is cunning. He's diplomatic, but he's also straightforward. He emphasizes, the work's going to stop if I leave, and I just can't let that happen. And that's exactly what you want, but I just, it would deter me from what God wants me to do. These people need me. They need me around. We're on mission. We're almost done. The gates are almost done, and then we can meet, whenever you want. He understands that it's a great work and a good work. End of verse 2 and verse 3. They intended to do me harm. He knows what's going on. And so I sent messengers to them saying, I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? Not taking no for an answer, they send to him 4 times, requesting the same thing. And I answer them in the same manner. It's not going to work. I am on mission. And if we could just jump to verse 9 real fast, he kind of summarizes this whole thing. He says they all wanted to frighten us, thinking their hands will drop from the work and it will not be done. But now, O God, strengthen my hands. Nehemiah finds courage not because he just knows all the answers, not because he's like, I'm taller than them, or I'm bigger than them, or I have the letters of Artaxerxes still, but because he knows the Lord is on his side and he prays. He prays saying, Lord, they want us to stop from the work. They want to frighten us, that our hands would be weakened. No. He says, let's do the opposite, Lord. Strengthen my hands. Don't demoralize us. Don't let us be discouraged. Don't let me or this people be afraid. Strengthen my hands. Everything they want to stop, make it happen more. All the more. Lord, they want to silence the church. Give us a loud voice. Lord, they want us to be scared. Let us be so courageous. Kill me. That's the only way you're going to get me to stop. Cut out my tongue, and I will mumble the gospel. I do not get scared of you. I have courage. I am strong because the one who I really need to be afraid of, the one who I really need to be scared of, well, I'm on his team. and he has never denied me. I will not deny him in these last few moments. And so he says, Lord, strengthen my hands. And you might have heard it said before, I know I have a time or two, that courage is doing what you're afraid to do. There can be no courage unless you're scared. I've also heard it said on the other end, courage is knowing exactly what you're facing, being afraid of it, and still going to do it. People ask, you sure you want kids in this world? The command says, be fruitful and multiply, as the Lord wills. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? What better way to fight evil than to raise 3 more image bearers that love him? That's right. You want light to beat the darkness? Let's raise more light. I'm so sure Nehemiah was stressed, and because I know I'm stressed, and my life pales in comparison to his. I know he was stressed. He was scared. People cared about him, and he cared about them and what they thought of him. And I'm sure he was aware of his weakness and insecurities. He knew what the people would see, what the people would say, what would come of them if their fearless leader faltered in the face of opposition. If Nehemiah can't do it, I'm not going to be able to do it. But he knows he's just one man. And I know I've made this point, I don't know how many times in life while I'm here, and I'll make it again. Prayer. Praying. Nehemiah prays, strengthen my hands, my weak hands, because I know I can't do it myself. He understands that Tobiah and Sanballat are never going to relent. Until they're gone or until he's gone, they will never just hush up and go away. He asks God to remember their deeds, bring them to justice. And maybe we have forgotten, or maybe we just, the things that we're dealing with, it's outweighing the words of James in chapter 4, where he tells us that we desire and we do not have, so we murder. We covet and we cannot obtain, so we fight and we quarrel. And he says this beautiful, beautiful one-liner, you do not have because you do not ask. You ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. And I don't have because I don't ask. And then the things that I'm wasting my time and energy asking for aren't always the right things to be asking for. Instead of deliverance, should I be praying for boldness? Instead of saying, Lord, raise up leaders and individuals, be like, Lord, raise me up as a leader and an individual. Lord, these evil, evil things in this world, these evil people, get rid of them. As opposed to, Lord, save them. And so I ask that we would always keep watch, that we're always asking. And when we ask, we're asking for the right things, that we would pray for strength in our weakness, even as we plead for the Lord to bring an end to those who oppose us. That we would pray. That we would pray, Lord, help me to pray. But it doesn't stop there. Gosh, pray. You got to pray. Goodness. But he doesn't just pray, he persists. He persists in the Lord's work, knowing that there is actually more work to do. Lord, when's this job going to be done? The Lord's work is never done. So might as well just get used to it now. It's not done. I'm young. I get to retire whenever the Lord tells me to retire, by the way. So if that's 40, 79. And even then, do I really retire? Take the man out of the ministry, but not the ministry out of the man? We can find courage in persisting in this mission as well. Paul is so clear, for the joy that was set before him, Christ endured the cross. For the joy set before Nehemiah, he put up with all this opposition and built the wall. For the joy of David, he put up with nothing ever because everything was perfect for him in life and at St. Paul. No, for the joy that was set before him, he lived a life, I pray, that was honoring to the Lord, honoring to his family, left a legacy that I could say with Paul, I didn't shrink back. Imitate me as I imitate Christ. I didn't write that down. Okay. Traditionally, that was from the heart. Traditionally, Nehemiah gets an open letter. What does that mean? It was already opened? It's just usually an official document. We think of classified documents where, it's got an official seal. You don't get to open it unless it's for you. It's closed. It's sealed. It is not an open letter. And so if you have an open letter, it's kind of like when, it just gets sent out. Anyone can read it. Rumors can be spread because it's, kind of just ambiguous. And so I think that's what Sanballat's trying to do. We're just going to send out an open letter. People can read it, and it means whatever they want it to mean. And hopefully it gets Nehemiah frazzled. Verse 6. He says, it was written, it is reported among the nations, and Geshem also says it, 3 accusations, 3 pronouns, it's all the word you. But it says that you and the Jews intend to rebel. Not true, we know they have letters and official documents, but still, that's why you are building the wall, because you are trying to rebel. And then according to these reports, you can shift down, you wish to become their king. That's why you're building the wall. You're not just trying to help people. You're not just trying to be nice, benevolent, humanitarian. No. You want to rebel. You want to become king. You're doing this for you and your power, and we're not fooled by it. Maybe Sanballat is hoping Artaxerxes will believe this letter. Maybe he's hoping that the people will we don't want to be associated with Nehemiah. And so that these reports claim that Nehemiah is trying to set himself up. And even verse 7, that he's setting up prophets. This is so ironic. That he's setting up prophets to proclaim throughout Jerusalem that there's a king in Judah. He's like, and now their king will hear of these reports. So you should probably meet with us. Let's take counsel together, as the last part of verse 7 says. What's amazing, though, he knows, he's like, well, one, I'm not a descendant of David, so I can't be on the throne of Judah. Also, I am loyal to Artaxerxes, so I really don't have a claim or desire for the throne. He is slandered, point blank. You are doing all these things. No, I'm not. I'm not. And so he sees the importance of his calling. He understands that everything else must bow the knee to this mission. In this case, it was a wall being completed, repopulating the people, renewing their covenant with the Lord. He's like, but this is not just about a building project. It's not just about the wall. We built an altar with Ezra. We built a temple with Ezra. Now we have a wall in place, but the community is not where it needs to be. I care about their relationship with God. I care about their right standing with the Lord. We were in exile. We were in rebellion. It's not about the wall. I'm doing the wall because it helps them worship the Lord better. I'm doing the wall because it makes them feel safe. If I could do this without the wall, I don't need a wall. It's never been about that. I'm not trying to become king. It's not about that. I'm here because the Lord told me to be here. I'm here because I care about His people like He does. I'm on mission. When you have the world, it's like, He's just here for power and profit. Goodness. The disciples, they just wanted to be noticed. They just were trying to spread a lie. They wanted to feel in control. Die for a lie? Be hated for a lie? Not have friends? Not necessarily have all the money in the world? Be hated? Annoyed? Persecuted? Goodness. What kind of sick person would do that? Put up with that? I'm not here for that. I love the Lord. I love His people. I want them to be saved the way He saved me. I want them to feel comfort like I've been comforted. Peace like I feel peace. Joy like I feel joy. Goodness, it's not about power. It's not about the wall. But I am going to be obedient. I am going to do what the Lord tells me to do. And if that does mean a wall right now, then by all means, let's build that wall. I'm on mission for the Lord. And so for all of you, persist. Christ endured that you may be able to endure also. Paul talks about it. Peter talks about this light momentary affliction. What a phrase. Our afflictions don't feel light, do they? They don't feel momentary, do they? And yet Paul says, not even just in comparison to hell, but in comparison to Christ on that cross, building a wall. Living with someone who's bipolar, living with someone who doesn't know the Lord, caring for a disabled child, fighting tooth and nail for custody of a child, working in an environment that is hostile to Christianity, over and over and over again. This light and momentary affliction. It's not just about building the wall. It's not just about where you work. It's not just about your family, but what purposes these gifts and blessings are served for your sanctification and becoming like Christ. So please persist. Have courage. But not just in praying for courage, not just persisting, but knowing that you are not alone. You are not abandoned, but trusting that the Lord is with you and protecting you. That the promises of Abraham, that He will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, is true. Vengeance is His. And there will be a day when those who drive you insane, and those who test your patience, and those who are in your life to help you become more like Christ, will either be redeemed just as you have, and the full wrath of God was poured on Christ for them, or they will be enduring that wrath for themselves. But either way, it does not have the last say. The Lord will let us win. He will keep us safe. And we learn from Shemaiah, this false prophet, you would think, hey, come to the temple. It's safe at church. I'm a real prophet. You can trust me. Come, meet with me. Even though he's confined to his home. Verse 10, let's meet together in the house of God. Let us close the doors. They're coming to kill you. They're going to kill you at night when you least expect it. You're going to die because of this. And Nehemiah, gosh, this is the boldness and the courage that only the Lord can give someone. What a great rhetorical question. He says, should such a man as I run away? Come on. To run and hide in the temple, to take refuge, would be contrary to what it means to be a governor of this people. If I'm called to serve them, called to be an example to them, and I run away, no. Second, he addresses the nature of, he's like, and what man such as I could go into the temple and live? He's a holy man. He's a godly man. He knows he's not allowed in there. That is for the high priest alone. That is for the holy man of God. I'm unholy. To desecrate the temple out of fear for my own life? Goodness. I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of entering a holy place where a holy God is without his permission. I'd much rather die than do that. And so he rightly understands that this Shemaiah fellow, that he saw and understood in verse 12 that God had not sent him, but that he had pronounced the prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. Oh, I'm the king of Judah that wants to hire prophets to say that there's a king? How about you hiring prophets to scare me? The Lord gives him wisdom and protects him to stay on mission. This God that we serve of great reversals, if you will make afraid those who seek to frighten us. There will be a day. There will be a day. And our help is in the name of the Lord. And so as we close, they did not like that he was building the wall, but we all know it wasn't just the wall. Nehemiah was a man after God's own heart. Served as an example for us of what it means to have courage and look opposition in the eye, to not be derailed by empty threats, slanderous accusations, or even the threat of death itself. And I've seen this in myself already. I've seen it in pastors. I know other congregations, other institutions, how quickly discouragement can cause and what opposition can bring onto a person. The strategies that adversaries, whether it's meeting in secret to cause harm, allegations, false threats, just it hits people in their hearts, their greatest weaknesses, their greatest insecurities. You're supposed to lead this people. You're supposed to know blah, blah, blah. And you know you don't. Why are you trying so hard? Maybe to give another picture, as leaders, we've been doing it's called Lead, 12 Gospel Principles for Leadership in the Church. In the last chapter, go figure, was on war, spiritual warfare, not warring with one another, hopefully, but spiritual warfare. That as leadership in any gospel ministry, we are in danger of spiritual warfare. And I think what stood out to myself and all of us as leaders was this line, that ministry leadership is not a fortress against spiritual attack. It's the front line. So much of what I see modern day Christianity to be, the church, and even Reverend Al Moeller and Horton at Southern Seminary, one of the greatest problems and weaknesses in and facing the church is its silence. We sit back, we shut up. Maybe we play defense sometimes. I love football. Secret to the best, good offense is good defense? No. Secret to a good defense is an awesome offense. And you make their job easy and you give them time to rest. We are not just a fortress where maybe we're like, we got a nice strong wall and we can lob grenades, holy hand grenades over the wall. We're the front line. We're supposed to go into battle, not run away. We hold the line. We have courage. We see exactly what is running right at us. And as we stand firm on the rock that is Christ Jesus, we do not look to the right or to the left or run away, but we say, come here now. Because the sooner you get over here and meet me face to face, the sooner I get to share with you the greatest news in the world, the one that can melt the heart of stone into a heart of flesh, open the blind eyes to see and the deaf ears to hear. And so I pray that we would all have the courage and the wisdom to heed this sentence. We are not just a fortress, a safe house. We are the front line. So may you pray for it, persist in it, and knowing that the Lord will not call you to do something that he will not provide for, even his protection. Amen.